Let's start today seated. I'm going to turn to face you. You sit however you're comfortable, but we'll come to an easy cross-legged seat with the right shin in front of the left. So I'm sitting this way because you'll be able to see me a little bit better this way with where we're going. You sit however you're comfortable. Just keep the right shin in front. Sit up tall, close the eyes. Let the hands just rest on the legs wherever they fall, knees, thighs. Maybe you slide them back and forth a couple of times, helping you sit up a little bit taller and just sort of telling your hips to relax, the body to relax. And you'll start to come into stillness with the hands. Just the breath is the only thing that's moving. Point the nose forward and a little bit down. Keep the chest nice and open. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Softly exhale out of the mouth. Long inhale in through the nose. Fill all the way up. Exhale out of the mouth. A little different this time. Inhale in through the nose. Keep inhaling. And when you think you can't inhale anymore, inhale a little bit more. Hold it at the very top. Exhale out of the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. This time out through the nose. Keep going with your Ujjayi breath. Blink open the eyes. Right shin's in front, just open it out to the right. The left foot can just stay where it is. If you want to bring it in, you could bring it in. Right arm goes down the leg. Reach the left arm up and over, just coming into a nice side bend, opening up the chest. You might be stiff, so don't feel like the leg has to be super straight. You could even not go that far as you reach toward the right foot. And you'll come back up to seated. This left arm is going to come back behind you. Right arm is going to reach up. So left hand's back behind you. You can stay right here. If you're comfortable, you can shift forward onto this front shin, the left shin. Right leg is reaching away from you. You're lifting up. And we'll come back into this a couple of times. So if it's not happening right now, don't worry. Slowly set the hips back down onto the mat, and we're coming right back to where we were. Right arm comes forward over the right leg. Left arm reaches up and over. Back in that side bend, opening up the chest. And we'll begin to move between those two poses. Left arm reaches up, back behind you. Let it touch the ground. Reach the right arm up. Maybe the hips lift. That's just an option. Opening up across the chest. Slowly set the hips back down onto the mat. Right arm goes down the right leg. Left arm reaches up and over. Left arm brings you all the way back up. Bring the left hand back behind you. Reach the right arm up, shift forward, maybe lifting the hips, opening up a little bit more. Set the hips back down. We're coming back to seated. So you'll just come back to center, leave the legs the way that they are, and now we'll switch them. So now the right shin comes behind the left shin. So left shin's in front. Easy cross-legged seat. Back to this, hands on the knees, and we'll take some Sufi rolls from here. So you'll just circle the spine, go in one direction, whichever way is calling you first. You inhale forward and exhale back. And these circles are as big or as small as you need them to be. And maybe they change as you begin to move. Eyes can be open or closed. If you choose to keep them open, just keep them softly open so the eyelids are still kind of heavy and relaxed. Not really looking at anything, just going inward. Switch directions. Go the other way with your circles. And next time you come up, stay up. Left leg goes out to the side. Reach the left arm down the left leg, reach the right arm up and over. Staying here, opening up, keeping the chest nice and open so it wants to come down toward the ground. See if you can get it going the other way. And the right arm reaches up toward the sky, back behind you. Left arm now reaches up toward the sky. Maybe the hips lift. Explore, see what's happening on this side. Set the hips back down onto the mat, right back into that side stretch. Left arm comes down the left leg. Right arm reaches up and over. Inhale the right arm all the way up, back behind you. Left arm reaches up. Maybe the hips lift up. Slowly set the hips back down onto the mat. Left arm down the left leg. Right arm reaches up and over. So it's almost like when we're doing baby cobras, reach the right arm up and back. Left arm reaches up to the sky. Maybe the hips lift. You can go a little deeper each time, just being gentle with yourself to see what the body really needs. Set the hips back down. Left arm down the leg. Right arm reaches up and over. Right arm comes back down to the mat. Lift the left arm, lift the hips. Last one. Set the hips back down onto the mat. Come back to center. And from here, we'll just come to tabletop. So facing the top of the mat if you're not already. From your tabletop, step the right toes back behind you, keeping them down on the mat, and then spin that right heel down flat. This left foot, it can kick out a little bit to give you a little bit more stability. Even the left hand can go out. Right arm reaches up. So you're coming into a modified side plank. If you're feeling pretty comfortable here, you could lift the right leg up or just play with lifting it up. Those right toes, they point toward the side. So if the right toes start to feel like they're going up, see if you can point them toward the side. So it keeps that right hip pointing toward the side instead of going up toward the sky. Reach the right arm up and over. Keep pressing out through the right leg. You can stay right here. Another option, you could reach back with the right arm, bend the right leg, pointing the toes and seeing if the foot's there. If it's not, then come back to the other option. If you have the foot, get that quad stretch. Keep reaching the heart forward. Hug the belly in. If you have the foot, gently release it. Reach the right arm up and over where we all are. Bring the right hand down to the mat, back to tabletop. Take your time. Left foot steps back behind you. Spin the left heel down flat. Maybe the right foot kicks out. Maybe the right hand goes out. Reach the left arm up. Play with lifting the left leg. You don't have to. See if it's happening on this side. Check in with your balance. Left arm goes up and over the ear, no matter if the leg is lifted or not. Stay here or play with reaching back, bending the left foot, seeing if it's there. If it is, lengthen the quad, hug the belly in, reach the heart forward. Release the left foot if you have it. Reach the left arm up and over. Bring that left hand down to the mat. Back to tabletop, both knees down on the ground. Bring the forearms down onto the ground. Walk the elbows ahead of the shoulders. Bring the forehead down so it touches the mat. Anahatasana Puppy Dog. Hug the belly in, hips right over the knees. Then look forward. Keep the forearms down onto the mat. You can walk them back a little bit, especially if they're pretty far forward. Step the feet back. You're in a forearm plank. So shoulders are stacked right over the elbows. You're pressing down into the forearms and the hands. Reach the heart forward. Keep pulling the legs back. And all the muscles in the body should be working. So if you feel any sagging, see if you can bring a little control there. Even the outer hips, those should be engaged. Tailbones pointing back, hearts reaching forward. Neck is still long, so looking forward helps to lengthen. But if you're looking so far forward that you're cranking the back of the head to the upper back, try to lengthen a little bit more. And then slowly let the hips come down onto the mat, tops of the feet to the mat, feet are hip width distance apart. Sphinx pose. Doesn't need to be the deepest back bend. Just find one that feels good for right now. Press into the tops of the feet, open up across the chest, belly's moving away from the mat. Tailbones lengthening toward the heels. Look down toward the ground, press down into the forearms and the hands, tuck the toes, fire up the core, fire up the legs, come back to your forearm plank, one hand at a time, plank pose. Downward facing dog, lift the hips up and back. See if you need to make the feet a little bit wider. If the legs feel tight here, you could put a bend in the legs. You can pedal out the feet a little bit. And spend some time here, check in with yourself, move around, see how you're feeling. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Come into a runner's lunge. Set the back knee down. Keep reaching the heart forward. You can be on fingertips, hands could be on blocks, especially if you want a little bit more space. Then come back to a lunge. So you lift the back knee, keep reaching the heart forward. Start to press down into the feet and the legs. Feel those outer hips engage and reach the arms back behind you. Hover the chest low over the front thigh without touching it. Keep the chest open. Come back to your breath. Same breath we started with before we started moving. In and out through the nose, up and down the back of the throat. Left hand comes down to the mat underneath the shoulder. You could be on fingertips or a block. Right arm reaches up. The left shoulder moves away from the left ear. And if that left hip started to drop, level it out with the right hip. Just open the chest in your twist. Right hand comes back down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale up for cobra. Nice and slow. Explore where the back bend wants to happen. Keep reaching the heart forward. Stretch those big toes back behind you. Exhale, release. Tuck the toes, hands and knees, or maybe you push back up to plank pose, then downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step the left foot up between the hands. Come onto the fingertips or blocks. Reach the heart forward. Set that back knee down. Keep reaching the heart forward. Toes are already tucked on the back foot. Lift the back knee, come into your runner's lunge. Find that engagement in the legs, the core. Keep reaching the heart forward as you press down into the feet and the legs. Reach the arms back behind you, hovering the chest low. Building a little bit more heat in the legs here. Focus on your breath once you have it. Right hand comes down just in front of the shoulder onto the mat. Left arm reaches up. Find that twist without taking the hips with you. Keep the lunge in the front leg. Left hand comes down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower all the way down to the mat slowly. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Look forward at the hands. Bend the knees, lift the hips up high. You can either step 1 foot at a time outside of the hands, or maybe you play with hopping the feet forward outside of the hands. We're ending up in a yogi squat at the top of the mat. So when you're ready, hug the belly in, lift the hips high, lift the heels high. Maybe you hop the feet forward, landing lightly. Bring the hands together in front of you, malasana. So elbows inside of the knees to keep them open so that they're going in the same direction of the toes. Lift the chest. And if the heels don't touch the ground, you can roll up the mat to bridge that gap. If the heels are nowhere near touching the ground, keep them lifted. Just bring the hands down and focus on your straight spine. Either way, you're opening up the hips. If the heels are touching, stay where you are. Keep lifting the heart, lifting the pelvic floor, and thinking about that long line of energy that goes up through the crown of the head. Hands come down to the mat, straighten the legs, heel toe the feet to hip width distance, toes point forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one of those, Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time we're coming all the way up. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway to Chaturanga, up dog or cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, hug the belly in, step, hop, bring the feet forward lightly. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. Stay looking forward. Step or hop back, plank to Chaturanga. Inhale up for your up dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold over the legs all the way down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, back to plank pose unless you're hopping back to Chaturanga. Inhale up, upward facing dog or cobra, you choose. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back. Step the right foot through between the hands, all the way up. Come into your runner's lunge. Walk the hands over to the left. So you're facing the side of the mat. Heels in, toes out. Bend the left leg, straighten the right. So you're coming into Skandasana. If it feels better to keep both feet down flat, you could do that and you just don't bring the hips down as low. If you're feeling pretty open, you could keep the left heel down, bring the hands together at the heart. Hands can stay down for support. But this right heel, it's like you're trying to drag it in. So we don't want to lock this right knee. Keep lifting the heart. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Shift back onto both feet. Turn the toes to face the top of the mat. You're back in your runner's lunge. Feet are hip width distance apart. This time, reach the arms back behind you. Hover the chest low over that front leg. Now rise all the way up, Crescent Pose. So lifting the lower belly and lifting those back ribs off of the hips. You'll feel the spine lengthen when you do that. Keep some space across the shoulder blades. Maybe that means the thumbs kick out a little bit. Spin the left heel down flat, warrior two. Heel toe the right foot in a little bit. Keep that lunge in the front leg. Keep reaching back with the left arm. You should feel the left side of the chest open. Right forearm, right thigh, reach the left arm up and over. If you feel like you're open enough and you want to bring the right hand down outside of the right foot for extended side angle, you're welcome to do that. Blocks are always nice. Reverse warrior, take your time. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. There's a vinyasa if you want one. You can skip them whenever you want to. You use them to feed your practice. If they ever feel draining, definitely skip it. Left leg reaches up and back. Step the left foot through up between the hands. Find your runner's lunge. Keep reaching the heart forward. Now walk the hands over to the right. Turn the toes over to the right. Bend the right knee, straighten the left leg. Take any option. Maybe both feet are down and the hips are lifted with the hands underneath you. Maybe you can sink into it a little bit more, but keep pulling that left heel in so you don't lock the knee. Maybe the hands come together in front of the heart, lifting the chest. Wherever you are, you're breathing. Hands come down if they're up. Shift back onto both feet. Turn the toes to face the top of the mat. Widen the feet to hip width distance. Reach the arms back behind you. Keep reaching the chest forward and keeping it nice and open. Imagine you have a beach ball between the hands that you're trying to hold. So arms are still firm. Rise up, Crescent Pose. Warrior two. Right heel down, heel to the left foot in a little bit. Spread the arms out wide. Stay even in both legs. So if you feel like all the weight's going in the front leg, put more in the back to even it out. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over the ear, extended side angle. Or if you took the option to bring the hand down, hand goes outside the foot. Open the chest to the sky wherever you are. Reverse warrior, take your time. Hands come down to the mat. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back. Step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Runner's lunge. Reach the heart forward for a moment. Keep the chest lifted. Walk the hands over to the left. Skandasana. Bending the left leg, straightening the right. Take it where you need it to be. Then this time, bring the hands down to the mat. Turn to face the back of the mat. So you're lunging toward the back of the mat. Step forward for standing splits. So the right leg lifts as you fold over the left. Here's where you can play with your balance if you want to. You can walk the hands closer to that left foot. Maybe you grab the ankle with one hand, maybe both. You just play. Right foot steps next to the left foot. Bend the knees, chair pose. Reach the arms up. You're facing the back of the mat. You're in your chair. Slowly start to sink the hips all the way down to the mat, coming into boat pose. Feet lift up, arms reach forward. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together and lifting the chest up. Think about pointing the center of the chest up toward the sky. So you should feel like a nice straight spine here, hugging the belly in. And then hover down, Ardanavasana. So arms continue to reach forward, shoulders hover, feet hover. Interlace the fingers behind the head. Lift up a little bit higher with the chest. Keep the inner edges of the feet together. Bring the knees out wide to the elbows. So you're curling. And then extend back out to where you were. Bring it back in. So knees and elbows connect, or upper arms. Extend the legs back out. One more time. Bring it in. Stay here. Hug the belly in, round the spine. Reach the arms up and flex the hands. So it's like you're trying to push something away from you. Can you feel the rounding of the spine and the hugging into the belly? Can you bring the knees in a little closer to the underarms? Interlace the fingers back behind the head. Extend the legs back out. Reach the arms forward. Ardanavasana. Navasana. Keep lifting the chest. Maybe you spread the toes. If the legs are straight or bent, doesn't matter which way. Then we're coming back to chair. Set the feet down. You can use the hands. Back to chair pose. Come all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway to Chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step the left foot forward up between the hands. Reach the chest forward. You can stretch that right leg back behind you. Walk the hands over to the right, bend the right knee, straighten the left. Skandasana, any version. Hands come down to the mat. Turn to face the top of the mat in a lunge. Right foot forward. Shift the weight forward, standing splits. Lift the left leg, fold over the right. Play with your balance, walk the hands in, maybe grab the ankle. Hands down if they're lifted, step the left foot next to the right foot, chair pose. Come all the way down to the mat, coming into boat pose. Reach the legs forward, reach the arms forward, lift the chest and the gaze up. Ardanavasana. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, lift the chest a little bit higher. Keep those inner edges of the feet together, knees wide, curl in. You can lift the hips. Extend the legs back out, get long, bring it back in. Knees wide, get them down by the underarms. Extend the legs back out. Knees wide, bring it all in. This time, stay here, reach the arms up, see if you can bring the knees down toward the underarms, hug the belly in. You're lifting the tailbones here, curling in a ball. The spine is rounded. Then interlace the fingers back behind the head, extend the legs out in front of you, reach the arms forward, Ardanavasana, Navasana. Oh, it took my breath away. Keep reaching the chest up, keep reaching the hands forward. Back to chair pose. Take your time. You can use momentum to come back into your chair. Reach the arms forward and up, then rise all the way up. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga, up dog or cobra, but notice the core, how it helps you open up the chest, the shoulders, neck is long. Back to down dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Chest reaches forward. Walk the hands over to the left, Skandasana, bend the left leg, straighten the right. Hands down, you're coming back to the top of the mat. Come back into that runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart. Reach the arms back behind you, rise up to crescent pose. Open it up, warrior two. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh, hand outside the foot, you choose. Reverse warrior. Hands come down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Maybe a vinyasa takes you back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Left foot steps through, up between the hands, reach the heart forward. Walk the hands over to the right, bending the right leg, Skandasana. Hands down, back to the top of the mat in a lunge. Walk the hands forward, turn the toes forward. When you're ready, reach the arms back behind you, hover over that front thigh. Rise up, crescent. Open up, warrior two. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana. Inhale back to your reverse warrior. Hands come down to the mat. You choose, we'll meet back in downward facing dog with or without a vinyasa. All right, right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Keep reaching the heart forward. Walk the hands over to the left. Bend the left leg, straighten the right. Skandasana. This time, hands down, turn to the back of the mat in that lunge. Standing splits. Shift the weight forward to the left foot. Reach the right leg up. Feet step side by side. Chair pose. Sink the hips back down to the mat. Come into boat pose. Navasana. Ardanavasana. Interlace the fingers back behind the head. Bring the knees in. Keep the inside edges of the feet together. Extend back out. Two more of those. Bring the knees in. Nice and wide. Bring it back out. This time we hold. Bring the knees to the outer upper arms. Reach the hands up toward the sky. See if you can get the knees a little lower. And then squeeze the knees in as you push the arms out. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, stretch the legs back out in front of you, reach the arms forward, Navasana, chair pose. Come all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. On the exhale, forward fold, stay here. If you're all the way up at the edge of the mat, back up so that you have like a third of the mat ahead of you. Bring the heels together. Toes turn out so you're making like a V shape with the feet. Lift the heels, coming onto the balls of the feet, bending the knees, sink the hips. Walk the hands forward, way forward. You're coming into a hip opening that kind of looks like crow. Let the head and the neck go. Feel that rounding of the spine. Hug the belly in. Keep the chest this low. Start to walk the hands as far back as you can until the legs stop you. So see if you can get the chest a little bit lower so the knees can come higher. Hands are at least shoulder width distance apart. You can even turn the index fingers out a little bit to give yourself some more space. Now you hug the belly in. You start to squeeze the knees in toward the body. The arms are going to be like Chaturanga. Look forward. That's so important. Start to shift the weight forward. Hug the belly in. Bring the feet together. Come into your crow pose. Bakasana. Spine is rounded. If you're pretty familiar with this, play with straightening the arms. That's the next place to be. Lift the pelvic floor. All right, you can go back to Chaturanga if you want to try to hop back, or just step the toes down, work the feet back. Maybe a Vinyasa, maybe you skip it. That was a longer hold. Back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step the left foot forward, up between the hands. Heart reaches forward for your lunge. Walk the hands over to the right, bend the right leg, Skandasana. Hands down, back to the top of the mat in your lunge. Feet hip width, standing splits. Take your time, shift the weight forward to the right foot. Maybe you play with your balance a little bit. Hands down, feet side by side, chair pose. Sit the hips all the way down to the mat. Just set them down lightly, Navasana. Ardanavasana. Hands behind the head. Keep the support of the head. Bring the knees in toward the outer upper arms. So you know why we're doing this now. You want to curl in. Then bring the legs back out, stretch. Come back into crow on your back. Bring the legs back out in front of you, lengthen. This time we're holding. Bring the knees in. Here's where we practice. Hug the belly in, reach the arms up toward the sky. Get those knees as high as you can. Hips lift, round the spine. Push the sky away from you. Interlace the fingers, stretch the legs back out in front of you. Bring the arms forward. Navasana. Feet down, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Here we go. Let's finish this up. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Here's where you back up so you have plenty of space in front of you. Walk the feet back, bring the heels to touch, toes out. Come up onto the balls of the feet, lifting the heels. Sink the hips. Remember, we're doing this hip opening crow stretch first. So walk the hands forward. Let the head and the neck go. Feel the rounding of the spine. And now you can see the feet. So you're squeezing the heels together. You're welcome to stay here. If you want to play with crow, you keep the chest as low as possible. Start to walk the hands back as far as you can so that you can get the knees up high. You can even just shimmy a little bit. Then once you get the hands down, make sure the index fingers are pointing out, maybe a little, they can be forward, just not in. Look way forward, hug the belly in. Here, so all the weight's in the feet right now. Shift the weight, as much of it as you can without lifting the feet, into the hands, looking forward. If you look down, you're gonna go down. So look forward, then the feet start to come together. Hug the belly in, lift the pelvic floor. Squeeze those knees in as you push the arms out. Breathe. Maybe work towards straightening the arms if that's where you're at. If you're jumping back to Chaturanga, bend the arms, get your Chaturanga set up first in the upper body, and then just lightly bring the feet back behind you or step back. Chaturanga, maybe an up dog to your downward facing dog. Lengthen the spine in your downward facing dog. Lengthen the arms and the legs. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot through, up between the hands. Reach the arms back behind you. Now reach the arms all the way up, Crescent Pose. Bring the hands together, down in front of the heart. Twist to the right. Hook the elbow outside of the right thigh. Keep stretching the left leg back behind you. Press into the hands to keep the chest nice and open. Bring the hands back together in front of the chest. Reach the arms back behind you. Rise up, Crescent Pose. Open up, Warrior Two. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh or hand outside the foot. You choose. I'm going forearm to thigh. Reverse Warrior. Hands down to the mat. Step it back to plank pose. Maybe a vinyasa. Maybe you skip it. What do you need? From downward facing dog, left leg reaches up and back. Step the left foot forward, up between the hands. Reach the heart forward. Reach the arms back behind you. Hover the chest low. Rise all the way up, Crescent Pose. Hands together in front of the heart. Twist to the left. Lightly hook the elbow. Keep stretching that right leg back behind you. Look down toward the mat. Bring the hands back to center. Now reach the arms back. Rise up to Crescent Pose. Right heel spins down flat. Open up, Warrior Two. Extended side angle, maybe forearm to thigh or hand down. Reverse Warrior. Hands come down to the mat. Last vinyasa if you want it. Back to downward facing dog. Take your time with it if you're choosing to take it. Spend some time in each pose. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bring the knees down to the mat. Take child's pose. Bring the big toes together. Forehead comes down. Maybe the arms go back behind you if that feels nice on the shoulders. Start to make your way up to seated. Extending the legs out in front of you. Scoot yourself forward so that when you lay down onto your back, there's a mat underneath you, and then you'll lay down onto your back. And we'll start with bridge pose. Keep the toes pointing forward, feet hip width distance. Press into the feet, lift the hips up. Maybe you get those arms underneath you and interlace the fingers. Lift and spread the chest open. Look up, keeping the chin away from the chest. Slowly start to bring the hips back down to the mat. Resting here for a couple breaths. 2 more back bends. Stick with bridge. If you want to go all the way up for Urdhva, upward facing bow, that's an option too in this next round or the third one. Play with it however you want to. Same setup, press into the feet, lift the hips up. Decide if you're bringing the hands back by the ears or taking one more bridge before you go all the way up. Or you can do bridge for all 3. And if you're cooked, you grab a block, you stick it underneath the sacrum, and you take a supported bridge and you just stay there until we're done with all the rounds. Release the hands, set the hips back down, rest for a few breaths. Third and final round. Start with a bridge setup, pressing down into the feet, lifting the hips up. Either interlace the fingers underneath you or bring the hands back by the ears. Same thing as crow pose. You can turn the index fingers out a little bit to give the shoulders more space. Then come to the top of the head, plug in the hands, the arms, the feet, and the legs at the same time to lift yourself up to your upward facing bow. Chin to chest if you're all the way up. Slowly start to lower back down to the mat, wherever you are. Bring the knees together and the feet wide. And then you can clasp opposite elbows overhead. So the chest still feels open, but the lower back is spreading with the knees together and the feet wide. Then bring the arms down by the sides, heel toe the feet back to hip width, hug the right knee in toward the chest. Leave that left foot down on the mat for now. Then cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Take thread the needle. So you can grab the back of the left thigh, top of the shin. You could even leave the left foot down on the mat and not grab the legs at all. Make sure you can rest the head, keep the chest open. Set the left foot back down onto the mat. Couple of options here. You can cross the right leg all the way over the left leg for your twist. If it's too much, uncross the legs. We'll all shift the hips over to the right first. Now you can let the knees come over to the left. And if you have the legs crossed and there's tension, especially in the lower back area, just uncross, stack the knees. Right arm goes out to the side. The cross-legged spinal twist is not for everyone. So don't feel bad if your body's telling you it's not working. If the legs are crossed, uncross them, squeeze the thighs together, come back onto your back, hug the left knee in toward the chest, keep the right foot on the mat. Now cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Choose your version of thread the needle on this side. Keeping the left foot flexed so you protect that left knee. which means the toes and heel are in line instead of the toes reaching forward toward the knee. All right, set the right foot back down onto the mat. Arms come out to the sides. Either cross the left leg high up over the right or keep the feet side by side. Scoot the hips over to the left. Knees come over to the right. Spinal twist the other way. So you can gaze over that left arm. The legs are crossed, uncross them, squeeze the thighs, come back to center on your back. And you'll use the hands to come up to seated. Let's do one last hip opening since they're so open. Easy cross-legged seat like we started. Doesn't matter which shin is in front. Reach the arms all the way up and fold over the legs. About a minute here, so let the breath just open up the hips, close the eyes, experience this hip opening and what it has to offer right now. And start to walk the hands back in. Bring the hands back behind you. Switch the crossing of the legs. Get even on the sit bones. When you're ready, reach the arms all the way up on the inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Plenty of time, so come into it easy and let the pose and the breath just take you the rest of the way. Once you're settled, close the eyes, turn the gaze inward. About a minute left. Walk the hands back in, make your way back up to seated. Extend the legs out in front of you. Reach the arms up, fold forward, Paschimottanasana. Slowly come back up to seated. Either seated meditation to close or come all the way down onto your backs and take Shavasana. Choose whichever one sounds better and would set you up for the best day. Take your time getting into it, whatever you decide to do. Take one more breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Let it go. Let the body breathe on its own. And just stay right here and just be. You'll start to deepen the breath, coming back into your space. If you're in Shavasana, we wiggle the fingers and the toes and stretch the arms overhead. Walk the feet in, bending the legs. You'll make your way over onto your right side. Use your hands to bring yourself up to an easy cross-legged seat. Sitting up nice and tall, still keeping the eyes closed, heart open. Bring the hands together in front of you. Bowing the head to take a moment and honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you for joining. Hope you have a great day.